this morning. If I may begin, I'd like to open up with prayer. The Lord be with you.
And also with you.
Thank you. Oh, loving and tender God, touch our hearts with hope, touch our minds with clarity, touch our souls with peace, and touch our bodies with the warmth of your healing presence. Grant us courage to face the future, with insight to understand life's trials, wisdom to discern how we can touch the lives of others, and the comfort of people who care about us as we reach for your loving hands. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Just a little bit about me. I grew up in Wisconsin. I am a registered nurse by trade. As I was in my nursing school, education, I wanted to own my own home health agency in Alaska. So here I am in Houston, Texas. I love internal medicine from that perspective. And then when I came to Houston, I directed a home health agency, and then I got into regulatory work. And I was the Houston equivalent of the surveyor here for home health agencies and hospices with the Department of Health and the Department of Aging and Disability Services. I also have been involved in fighting Medicare fraud and abuse within the home health arena. So I've worked with the FBI in the OIG of Health and Human Services Division for putting people that take money wrongly in their place appropriately. And in 1996, I began my career at church. I started as a children's choir director while I was working full-time with the state and the Medicare fraud company. And then in 2007, forgive me, an opportunity arose for me to come to work at the church full-time. I served in a myriad of roles, and in 2009, I went back to my home health kind of spirituality roots, and I was certified as a faith community nurse or a parish nurse. In 2014, our congregation was going on a transition period where our senior pastor had left, and we were in the process of calling another senior pastor. And it was at that time that I learned about Community of Hope. And so I took the training here in Houston at Christ the King Lutheran Church with Beverly Davis, with the intent to do a train the trainer. And in 2015, Kinsman Lutheran Church started our own center with myself as the facilitator. And to this date, we are an ecumenical center for Community of Hope. I have trained over 50 lay chaplains and have absorbed other lay chaplains, like from Holy Comforter Episcopal has decided to join us as they are now exploring again the process of reevaluating. Michelle Sabino, who was your presenter for Module 4, is a part of our center, and she had a great story. I hope she shared it with you, how she became involved with Community of Hope and our center. So I am a mom to two Longhorns. My daughter lives here in Northwest Houston, and my son is in Austin. People are excited to hear about my son when I tell them he works for TikTok. So all things TikTok are not bad. As a mom, I will say that. Forgive me from my nursing background throughout this presentation if I use the term patient. I'm trying really hard to go with care receiver. Also, along those lines, the Community of Hope Board, I serve as the regional rep for the Heritage Region here in Houston. Currently, I have spent some time on the board with Pam. And it is my understanding that visit is being changed to encounter. So I will be using visit and encounter interchangeably throughout this presentation. And with that, let me bring it up. And I am there. So Wilma has been hospitalized for chest pain. She had open surgery for 2 blocked arteries, and it is 3 days post-op. She has asked her family to contact you to visit her. You agree to make the visit at the heart hospital, and you arrive on Wilma's floor, and what's next? You will spend some time preparing, whether that be preparing on your drive to the hospital, or preparing while you're getting ready at home, or sitting in the parking lot. I encourage you to remember that God is in the room ahead of you. I also encourage you to know your triggers. Might you have had some experience with someone who has had open heart surgery or cardiac problems that may cause some barrier during your visit time? I've been blessed to lead Community of Hope facilitator training, and during the very first one, a member of the Community of Hope board at that time shared with me the story, or shared with our group, the story of Michael Judge's prayer, and that she utilizes this prayer whenever she prepares to go to a visit. So I share this with you this morning. Lord, take me where you want me to go. Let me meet who you want me to meet. Tell me what you want me to say, and keep me out of your way. So with initiating the visit, along with in the preparation, clear your mind and relax. If you are doing the visit or encounter at a hospital or at a facility of any time, if you find the nurse or someone at the nurse's station, do let them know that you are there visiting. Look around at the door to make sure that there's no sign of any precautions that you must take when you enter the room, such as contact or respiratory isolation. And that would mean get some help and put those gloves and the gown on accordingly, because you are protecting the patient as well as you are protecting yourself with those precautions. So with your visit, ditch any gum or mints or soft drinks that you might have. Knock on the door before entering, because you are entering their space. And there's plenty of hand gel and hand sanitizer around, so please do wash your hands when you enter. And of course, take the initiative to introduce yourself when you enter the room. Wilma, you will find with your visit, is a little weak because she's been doing physical therapy. She's back in the bed and watching her favorite TV show, NCIS Los Angeles. You knock on the door and walk into her room. She looks at you when you walk in, and what's next? Take some time to open up and observe what you might see. Are you seeing flowers, cards? Are you seeing books, newspapers, or magazines? Might there be food that's still left from an earlier meal on her bedside table? Are the curtains open or closed? Does she have a blank stare, a happy smile? Any indication of anything religious that might be a room? And do you feel welcome? You want to begin by building rapport. Ask permission to visit. Is now a good time? If she says yes, of course, smile and be calm. Look around for a chair and move it to the bedside close to her. Ask Wilma how she would like to be addressed. Let Wilma take the lead in establishing eye contact. If she shares something that is personal with you and it surprises you, try not to react. If she says no, then try to find a mutual time that you could come back to visit if applicable, but definitely leave if she says no. You want to take some time to focus and pay attention to Wilma's cues. And speaking of for cues, regarding cues, is Wilma lying flat in bed and barely looking at you? Does she motion for you to sit? Might she be grimacing, trying to get into a better position? Is she setting up, relaxed, and watching TV or reading? What is her body language telling you? Might there be unpleasant sights or even smells? Be conscious of how your body reacts if you do find things unpleasant. You want to make Wilma more important than you are? You want to remember all that Wilma has gone through. Remember that when sick or well, we all have good and bad days. Wilma smiles and greets you. You look around the room and notice a few cards. What would you say? We'll come back to what you can say, but be aware of your interaction, your body language. You want to sit so Wilma can see you and hear you without straining. Your posture will determine the degree of attention and involvement, the difference in status amongst communicators, and the level of intimacy. Be conscious. Are you crossing your arms? Are you slouching? Are you leaning forward? If you're standing, do you stand erect or slightly forward? You definitely want to avoid slumping. You want to feel the ambience in the room. If Wilma is flat, don't be too joyous, and vice versa. You want to match where she is. Match the rate of your speech, the pitch, the volume, and indicate emotion and stress level to match as well. Speak deliberately and don't ramble. You definitely want to enunciate. Don't draw your own conclusions and judgments during the visit, as this will cause you to lose your ability to focus on Wilma. Pay attention to what you wear as part of your preparation as well. What you wear is a form of nonverbal communication. Your clothing conveys your personality, your background, your culture, your mood, your authority, your values, your beliefs. Dress conservatively, but be comfortably in professional attire. Gestures, be conscious of fiddling or poking, prodding, crimping. And I definitely want to say, keep your phone in your pocket or put it away until it's appropriate to bring out, perhaps to read scripture if you don't carry a Bible with you with your visit. And also be conscious of your facial expressions. So be conscious regarding touch, ask for permission, maintain eye contact, smile, your voice, and be conscious of Wilma's personal space. There may be some barriers or things to be conscious of when you are making the visit that could create a barrier between you and Wilma. Definitely don't tell Wilma any stories about what happened to you when you had cardiac surgery or something else, someone else that you know. Don't have a presence of being self-conscious or anxious when you are doing your visit. Do not give advice based on your personal visit. Don't judge Wilma or the healthcare team either positively or negatively. Don't be thinking of something else while she's talking. And don't be thinking of what to say back. Wilma shares with you that she wants to get out of the hospital soon because she misses her dog, Oscar. Wilma's oldest daughter and her family live close by, and the younger daughter lives in another state. At night, she is lonely when it is quiet. What would you say? Some suggestions. It is good to see you. I see you have a few cards by the window. Tell me what your day has been like. What activities are you doing to get stronger? Tell me about Oscar. Tell me about your family. Let the conversation flow. Going back to some attending skills, maintain your eye contact. We talked about these things. Make sure conscious of your posture, any gestures, the environment. If a physician or a medical team walks in, be sure to get up and let Wilma have privacy unless she wants you to stay. That will be Wilma directed, but you should leave. And interested silence. It is okay to include silence during your time, as this will allow Wilma to think and reflect and then you can continue the conversation at her pace. You had the presentation with Michelle, Module 4 on active listening skills. Just going back to that, some paraphrasing examples. If Wilma says, I am completely worn out, I walked 5 lengths of the hall today. Another way to say that, or to come back with paraphrasing, you are exhausted from physical therapy. Or you can use reflecting. When Wilma says, I told the doctor I'm ready to get out of here, she didn't say anything. And then your response that you could do using reflecting, I'm sensing you feel the doctor didn't talk to you about how long you may be here. Using the skill of listening for focus. Tell me in one word what you are worried about. I love that phrase because it will really put the ball in the care receiver's court for them to tell you what they are most concerned about and drive your conversation. So for an example, Wilma would respond or may respond, all the medications I'm going to have to take. That allows you to talk in regards to possibly the concern she has with organizing medications, but let it flow. Summarizing, an example of summarizing, I want to make sure I understand what you are saying. You are worried about your medications. These are just using clarifying points and other means to continue the conversations with the things that Wilma, the care receiver, is most concerned about. We also have the reflective listening skills of using open-ended questions. Can you tell me or tell me more about? If Wilma says, I'm worried, you can just respond, it sounds like you are worried about. And there are leading questions. You told me you had heart issues running your family. Is that right? And asking for more about her family, or eventually she should give you some more information. And a close-ended question. Do you feel like you are improving? And then you can definitely go into more open-ended questions following the answer to that question. Some listening skill tips. Stop talking, because you can't listen while you're soon. Don't give up too soon. Give Wilma time to say what she wants and don't interrupt. Actively focus on the words and the ideas, the feelings of Wilma. Give some verbal responses. Aha, yes, really, but don't overdo it. Wait, leave your issues behind. Wait until you know all the facts. Don't make hasty judgments or jump to assumptions. Listen to how Wilma says things. Allow her time to think. Here it is again. Get rid of any distractions, any pen or paper, and definitely your phone. You want to look at Wilma, and you want to react to ideas, not to Wilma. Some of the don'ts while you're listening during your visit: don't interrupt. This may indicate that you are not interested in her story. Don't pass judgment too quickly or in advance. Don't prod for more information and force Wilma to discuss something she doesn't want to. Don't bombard her with a series of questions. Don't monopolize the conversation, and definitely no one-upping. Don't give advice when it's not solicited. Don't talk more than Wilma or the care receiver. Don't answer the question, what would you do? Definitely don't say, I know how you would feel. For the question, what would you do? I want to go back to that a moment. My suggestion is to quickly redirect. Well, for me, if it was like this, but I know everyone is different, what would you do? What is going on in your situation to try to focus more, getting back to Wilma? I'm going to add in one more that I have in here. It doesn't necessarily pertain to listening, but it's one of my things that I became quickly aware of when I was doing hospice care. I learned from somebody that if somebody is crying, don't hand them a tissue immediately, because the tissue will encourage and tell them that you are not comfortable with their tears. And if you think about it, if you hand them a tissue, that means, oh, they want me to stop right away. So that's just me personally. With going on with your visit, you notice that Wilma starts to look out the window, and this is followed by a yawn. What would you do? I suggest that you close your visit, stand up and acknowledge how much you enjoyed it being with her. A visit, as a general rule, should be less than 20 minutes tops. If Wilma asks for prayer in the conversation, she might mean now and not at the end of the visit. During one of my Module 7 guest presenters, they said, be conscious about doing the ding-dong ditch prayer. Don't just use prayer as your means to end the visit. And also ask Wilma what she would like to pray for. It may not be about her health. It may be about Oscar or another family member or a friend or a neighbor. Just some things to be thinking about. You want to thank her for letting you interrupt the TV program and calmly leave the room and wash your hands as you are leaving. Some boundaries. You don't want to ever sit on the hospital bed. There is a great 7-minute video here that I want to watch part of it on. Oops, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to end that video. I'm going to send the link to Trisha so that she can share it with you, because I tried to go back to bring it back up and that wasn't working. I am not as tech savvy as I'd like to be, but it is a great thing on 10 different things not to do while you're in the hospital. It's funny and does a good job. And I see that it was muted anyway, and there was problems with that. So thank you very much for sharing that. So some other boundaries, I'll share that link for that video with Trisha to get out to you. So some other things to think about. If you have a sniffle or a cough or have been exposed to a communicable disease, definitely do not visit. You will know for your own protection, whether or not, and the hospital rules, maybe the hospital rules still will be to wear a mask when you see in making a hospital visit or even in any types of facility. You know what your comfort level is, and you have to judge that on your own. You definitely want to avoid perfumes and other scents that may aggravate allergies or respiratory conditions. As I pointed out, you want to wash your hands before and after every visit. This is a body language that indicates that they are very important to you and you care about them and anybody else that you are seeing after you leave the room. We talked about keeping your visit length to 20 minutes tops. Don't touch any equipment. Don't rearrange the room, and you want to consider whether to sit, stand, or crouch, or whatever position is easiest for your care receiver's sight and healing. Regarding a touch, ask if you can touch them, but you want to be very gentle. You definitely don't want to ask what's wrong or offer medical advice or change the patient's position in the bed. Let the nurse do that. You don't want to interrupt. You don't want to discuss medical diagnoses or treatment. You don't want to give your own opinion. You don't want to make negative comments about the hospital or the staff. You don't want to engage in any gossip or hearsay. You don't want to introduce controversial or depressing topics. You don't want to argue or debate. You don't want to avoid jumping to assumptions. And I'm going to put in something here as an assumption, an example. On your homework that you did when you come to discussing this, the homework on page 8 for module 7, question number 2 refers to the person wanting to go home. And I had one of my lay chaplains point this out to me, that define home. Perhaps could it be their heavenly home rather than their earthly home? So I leave that to you to discuss later. Resist the feeling that you may have to solve the problem. After your visit, Wilma sent a thank you card expressing her appreciation for her visit. Now we move into module 8, confidentiality, your first practice visit and debriefing. Confidentiality, of course, all observations or impressions and all records made concerning the care receiver are and must remain confidential. Confidentiality fosters dignity, respect, and trust. If confidentiality is breached, the bond of trust is broken between the care receiver and you. Once that trust is lost, it is almost impossible to reestablish. With confidentiality, there's a difference between public and private knowledge. Public knowledge can be that the care receiver's location, such as a hospital or a nursing home, and private knowledge, the exact location, the room number, any medical information, any personal information. You always want to get permission with what can be shared and with whom before you begin share, if you share at all. The only exception to confidentiality is if you suspect there is abuse of the care receiver in any form, it must be reported. Of course, we are well familiar with the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, also known as HIPAA, that was enacted in 1996, the federal law. But things to think about as you may be discussing your visit, or things are coming up that, oh, I need to do a lay chaplain visit. Keep in mind any conversation that you have, any phone calls, any elevators, talking in your narthex or your fellowship hall. You do not want to share any information unless Wilma gave you permission. In your first visit or encounter, you've been preparing this for out the previous 6 weeks. You're now ready to go on this first visit or your first encounter officially as a part of Community of Hope International. Each center has their own way of assigning first visits. The module recommends going 2 by 2. It's possible, I don't know what Trisha or anyone has planned for you as you do your first encounter, but you are ready. After you've completed your visit or had your encounter, now what? If you have been or are a part of military, you likely have experience with debriefing. You are recommended and it is encouraged to debrief shortly after your visit within 48 hours because it's very important to be filled back up again. I have used the analogy that debriefing is releasing what you hold from that visit so that you can be filled back up again to do another visit. Debriefing is done with another lay chaplain or perhaps the individual who assigned the visit or encounter to you. Debriefing isn't about the care receivers, so you will not be talking about Wilma, but debriefing is about you. The intent of debriefing is to help you expand your spiritual consciousness, your self-knowledge, your relationship with God, and your ability to reflect on relationships from a spiritual perspective. I like to say that debriefing is also biblical. In Luke 9 and 10, Jesus sent the disciples out. And then in Luke 10:17, the debriefing begins, where the disciples shared with Jesus what they had seen. Debriefing is also a regular activity for people who care about one another. It's how we grow spiritually and how we stay connected. Perhaps with your spouse, your significant other, or with your children, you have asked them, how was your day? Tell me everything that happened. That is a form of debriefing. So it's not foreign. Debriefing. If you are the one who is listening to the debrief, then debriefing allows you to gain experience and more experience and growing with active listening skills. Within the module itself, there are 4 areas that offer guidance to the debriefing process and the specific questions to be used with debriefing. You will look at the area of energy acknowledgement, relationship reflections, spirituality assessments, and the learning experienced. As part of my training, and I can share this with Trisha as well, Beverly Davis gave us a debriefing checklist that I like to use as an option. And the questions within that debriefing checklist: what was the most difficult issue you dealt with today while visiting? Describe the circumstances of the situation. What were your first thoughts? How, if at all, did your thoughts change during the visit? Name the feelings you experienced, and how, if at all, did your feelings change during the visit? What caused you the most anxiety? What was the best thing about your ministry time? How was God present in the visit? What have you learned from this experience? Just last Saturday's reading of the rule in Sister Jones' commentary on page 74, it was stated that silence is, quote, the cornerstone of Benedictine life and spiritual development. Benedictine silence is not about non-talking. Rather, it calls for thoughtful talk. So we are in the rule reading about the 12 steps of humility. And so silence and humility go hand in hand. As an example of that, the 9th step of humility, which we will get to in the rule in a few more days, is that we control our tongues and remain silent. To be silent helps us to be open to others and to listen to them. To listen to others is to love them. Those are the closing words from this module, and I believe they are some of the most important words that we carry with us throughout these skills of providing pastoral care encounters. In closing, I have this poem by Ted Hetherington that I'd like to share. Today we talked. Today we talked. I said I'm confused. You asked about my devotions. I said I get angry. You quoted a verse. I said I hurt. You said believe. I said I'm depressed. You said rejoice. You said I could call. I said I would try. You said you would pray. I suppressed my doubts. You said things would get better. Oh, I'm so sorry. Let me try to go back. This is no fun. I'm going to click exit. I am so sorry, folks. I do have that. Let me stop share and come back. I am so sorry. This never happens to any of you, I'm sure. If I keep it there, can you see with me?
Yes.
Thank you. You said I could call. I said I would try. You said you would pray. I suppressed my doubts. You said things would get better. I wondered when. As we parted, you waved with a smile. Today we talked. Neither of us listened. And though we talked, there was silence. Nobody said, I care. One more. Today we talked. I said, I'm confused. You asked about what? I said, I get angry. You said, when? I said, I hurt. You asked why? I said, I'm depressed. You said, I care. You said you would call. I said, please do. You said you would pray. I knew you would. You said things will get better. I tried to believe. You said there is hope, and you wrapped it in a hug. Today we talked. You listened for both of us. And as we talked, there was a third voice. He said, I care with your lips. Thank you for putting up with my technological challenges. Actually, I touched my mouse and it moved ahead on both times. And anyway, questions, comments, thoughts?
I have a question about time. You said not to be looking at your watch or your phone. How do we then know it's been 10, 15, 20 minutes?
If you are doing a hospital visit here at least here in Greater Houston hospitals, there is a clock in the room, but you will have an innate clock. Your inner clock is going to know when it's time to leave. Trust your instincts.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I found with reflective listening is that at times if you're not careful with it sounds a little pedantic and condescending. You know, if I say, well, I'm feeling very worried about things, and the person comes back, you sound like you're worried about things, and and how do we I know it takes practice, but how do you suggest going about being a better listener, and reflecting things back so they expand more, without making them sound or us sound stupid or condescending.
Nick, as you said, it comes with experience, and I personally don't like the you sound. I like to keep it in the I statement. I am hearing that perhaps you are worried. Can you tell me a little bit more? Tell me how are my favorite words to use for reflective listening. I bring those in.
Mhm. Thank you.
Is your presentation going to be available for us?
Trisha and has my PowerPoint. You can
Okay.
share, Trisha. I'll
Okay.
send you the link. If you get the presentation, the video will come up on the 10 things to do or not to do during the hospital visit, but I will definitely share that link with
Thank
Trisha
you.
as well. It worked really great when we tested it at 8 earlier. I'm sorry.
It's fine.
Other thoughts or questions? Comments?
There will be a recording of your talk, Lene, on the YouTube, on my personal YouTube channel. All of the videos are there. So
Awesome.
to Tricia and she'll send it out.
Okay. I'll send it to you, Trisha, anyway.
Said it was on his YouTube channel.
And yeah, it's the guy who sent the email for the link today.
Oh, okay, it's on his YouTube. We can look it up. Okay, good.
He'll send it to you.
Well, I am honored to do this holy work with you. May you be blessed as you go forth and listen with the ear of your heart. Whether it be listening to a patient in a hospital or another facility, whether it be listening to the grocery store clerk, whether it be listening to the handyman that comes to prepare or repair anything in your home or remodel anything in your home, whether it be listening to the waiter. These are lifelong skills that are used in your daily life. May you be blessed.
Thank you very much, Lene.
Thank you. Thank
We
you.
appreciate you being with us today.
Bye.
Andy thought we were going to order pizza when he saw that I had 48 slides. So I hope that okay from a time perspective. Thank you for this opportunity. I am honored. I look forward to hopefully seeing some of you again in the very near future. Take care and God
Bye,
bless.
Lene.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.